White guilt.
Let's talk about it.
I'm in.
Oh.
So, give me personal stories. Real personal stories. How have you felt the sting of racism in your life? Just because, because you both have stories, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. So, but we need to hear them.
Okay.
If you're willing to share them.
None. Nothing bad's ever happened to me.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Well, the one that I shared about my art instructor, I think that set me on a path, right? So when I was in school, I was, look, I'm secure. I'm a great artist. And
He ridiculously is.
thank you. People are going to go to the website and I went to your website and your stuff sucks. Maybe. But I was going to do art for a living. And it's also a note that I did for a little while. Now I run a nonprofit and I love it, right? I'm doing a lot of work. But I was a portraitist, muralist, right? This is a thing that I got to do. But this professor said to me, like, just thinking that they were doing me this favor, like pulled me aside. Oh, no, your work is so good. I love the work that you do. And it's really important that you know that. But just life as a African American artist, and I know you're trying to do this for a living, it's just going to be so hard. Like, you should just look for another thing.
Was it a white person that said
it
that?
It was.
A white person.
Yep. And so I was like, well, okay. And I listened, but, young black guy listening to a white authority figure, that sort of thing. And so I listened, I believe, because also this is a person who is in this field. Again, I'm young, I don't know things, the stereotypes or whatever. And so I diverted my whole sort of education and didn't get into art until like 10 years later, because I spent the rest of that time of my life thinking, art is it's a popularity contest, it's only for white people. It doesn't matter how good I am. I've gotten this warning, and I've seen other things in the world that show that, black people are behind. So, yep, looks like here's a thing I don't get to do. Another thing that I don't get to do, right? I think that if I had started 10 years early, where I would be, it's... So, I think that's one of them. I mean, the problem is there are so many stories that go from the least harmful, one of my friends in 5th grade yelling across the cafeteria to one of the cheerleaders, "Hey, Geraud has a crush on you," which was embarrassing enough. But then this cheerleader says, "Well, you tell him I only date people my color." And that was the first I'd ever realized, like, wait, what? It would have been bad enough. She's been like, nerd, or whatever. But, then it turns out to be a racial thing. And now I'm back to nothing I can do about that. I can never be charming enough or wealthy enough or secure enough or whatever. It's just a skin thing. Here's also 5th grade, right? But I wasn't like thinking quite that deeply, but there was that like, well, here's a chance at love I'll never have, because of a skin thing. There's a whole group of people that aren't in my future. 2, my father waking up one morning and our lawn was on fire and the Klan had put a sign on the station, and I'm a kid and I didn't know this happened for years. I knew there was a burn mark in our yard, but my dad was like, nope, Klan. I was like, what? That's like from TV.
Wow.
Like, no. And then he shows me a note that he has kept where someone who at least signed it, maybe it wasn't true or not, threatened him at his job and wrote a note and put it, he was a construction worker, and put it in his locker. And I was like, we, the Klan, whatever mighty, whatever the superfluous titles they give themselves, were like, if you don't leave this place, we're going to make you leave, right? And so he had this letter that he carried around with him as a, like, you kind of pride thing, which I always thought was macho when I learned about it, but also if I learned about it at the time, I would have been terrified, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, those are just some of the things that I've had to actually deal with. I've been stopped at places. I was visiting a friend who went to work, and I was staying at her place, and I was on a phone call in her front yard where the police all showed up, and I was like, come on, then even the cops were like, someone called it in. We just want to make. I was like, you guys are really going to go through all the motions? They're like, well, we have to. And there's like 4 cops because I'm on a phone call
Wow.
in a Georgia neighborhood, just sitting in the yard of my friend's yard while she was at work. This is these are the kind of things that I have to deal with pretty semi-regularly. Like, I never get to forget them. Yeah, that I think that's really the big part of it. I always have to be aware. I always have to, if I'm walking at night and there's a white person in front of me, I always have to slow down just a little bit and let them get a little further ahead, right? Those are the sort of things that I just have to do now.
Do you think, okay, this is so, and maybe I shouldn't even talk about it right now because we need to sit with those stories, because those are not normal stories that everybody goes through.
Yeah.
Unless you're black.
Right.
So, maybe this isn't appropriate, but it brought up a thing that my brother said, as he's a white man, but he said, as a man, I am always thinking about what women think at night.
Yes.
And I slow down, or I cross the street so they don't think of me as a threat. And I thought, from a white man, well, good for you. I wish more men were like you and thought of that. So, but this is so different, so I'm not even sure why I'm bringing it up.
No, it's not different.
It's not different.
Right?
It comes together.
Okay.
I think there's this. What you're saying is both true and crappy.
Yeah.
Right? You are right. It would be great if more white men realize that they are putting a fear in women, because you are, in fact, you could be in danger if this is the wrong person.
Right.
It would be great if other people didn't give me that sort of pressure.
Right.
But also replace the white male with just black person. And the idea is that, hey, black people, it would be great if you just crossed the street so I didn't feel uncomfortable, right?
Yes, right?
Right? And
Yeah.
so, and that's sort of the feeling. But I do it, right? Now, some people don't. And I'm not saying that black people should. In fact, I'm not even saying that I am right in that I do it, right? But I have, so I work downtown. Even if I let someone have some space, if I'm going to meet someone downtown and I'm sort of behind someone, particularly a woman, and we make a couple of the same turns, I will leave my turn to go out of my way so that that person doesn't suspect that I might be following them.
Wow.
This is a thing that I got to think about that I imagine you've never thought about, right?
No one has ever been afraid of me in my life. Yeah, no.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a thing. It's a thing that I got to think
But
about.
I fear, but I have the opposite side where I fear not black men in general,
Yeah.
and also I fear, and this is, I'm gonna get comments for it, I fear more of an age. I fear more right now, I fear more white men, and a specific type of white man that I lump together. So I'm doing the same thing. I lump together as white supremacist or something specific that and so there's a certain look of a white man if I see that makes me nervous.
Right.
So I know I'm doing it too.
Also doing it too,
Yeah,
right?
different
And
group of
also
people.
wrong.
Yep.
But also, there is this, right? It is that feeling,
Yep.
I suspect, not to defend. I will get a lot of comments, I'm not defending, but it is that fear that I think that a lot of black men are getting shot over, right? I don't think it's necessarily, okay, it is some, right? But I don't think a lot of it is necessarily someone who's like, oh, black guy, I get to shoot him, boom, boom, I can't wait. I think there really is fear. I think that there is this fear of, and that's why a cop stop a black guy and their hands on their gun.
Yeah.
Because they are, for whatever reason, afraid of black guys more than white guys. Even though, well, black guys aren't doing a whole lot to cops, right? We're afraid of cops, right?
Yeah.
So there's just this belief that there is danger there, and now everything gets hyped up because of it,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that but it's also really there. I mean, if you feel danger, you feel danger, and so I take it upon myself to try to alleviate your potential feeling of danger. Some because I don't want you to feel all nervous, right? Because I care about people, right? Oh God, this person's gonna be freaking out that I just keep following right behind them and we're walking at the same pace, right?
Yeah.
But also, no, I don't want to get shot today. I'm just gonna take it upon myself to go all the way around, so that I don't, run into this person or this person starts texting someone, on the sly. So, yeah, those are the sort of things I gotta worry about.
Fear. I think that's a huge one. So what do we do? Okay, so I do think, obviously, there's a lot of like subconscious racism within that fear.
Yeah.
But it isn't just like an outwardly, like I'm a Klan member and I'm going to shoot every black person I can see. It is more of a systematic, ingrained fear that pops out. But so what do we do to start addressing that? Like, I feel like we're not addressing it. We're either like, they're racist and they're this. Like, I think we're skipping the issue of fear. Yeah. And like, so how do we address the fear underneath? And it's again like a we as opposed to them, and like us and them, or like, so yeah, like how do we address the fear, I guess, is my question.
Have you seen the show oh God, put in the comments, there's a show that was maybe a decade, maybe a little longer ago, where they would make people swap, they'd swap family members.
Yeah. Yeah. Wife swap.
Wife swap.
Yes. I used to watch that.
Yes. And so I didn't watch it, but I watched an episode where the black wife went to, and now mostly because this was sort of the way the editors kind of put it.
Yeah.
Also note I'm being a little racist, but they went to like the hillbilliest family. Right? Comments, go ahead. I know it's totally wrong, but like she went to the hillbilliest family, but also she was not like a she was not a Huxtable, right? And so they agreed to do this, and so the wife went to stay with the family, and there were a couple of kids. I don't remember how many. Both families had like a couple of kids, I believe. And I don't remember how long they stay there, but I remember that first
about a
night.
week.
I think that's right. And I remember the first night, that dinner at both households. Well, no. The dinner at the white people's household with the black wife, so awkward. No one wanted to talk to her. They all stayed to themselves. The black household was a little better, but some of it was because the white wife, was very talkative, and she was asking questions, and she was into this.
Right.
By the end of it, they are hugging, and so but what is important to note is that the white family, almost to a child, said how much they didn't care and didn't like black people. Not like, it'll be uncomfortable for them to be here, but like, yeah, I mean, we just get to see how, the things were horrible. And you're like, these are kids saying this thing, right? But by the end of it, and there are a number of specials that have been that way where, people who are racist or skinheads or even in the Klan do some sort of thing with a minority group and then end up loving them. And so I guess the answer to this is we need
to
more
swap
of that.
Spouses.
Lane, I do not agree.
But sorry, say what you're
But
saying.
no, but I think that's exactly it. I think it's a matter of we need to we cannot stay in our lane. What is it? We cannot have radical deference, right? Your job now is to
engage.
Talk to more black people, or talk to more white people, or talk to Native Americans, or Japanese, or Chinese, or Irish. It is to talk to people in the gay community. It's talk to trans people. It is this whole idea of I'm afraid of every black guy that I see because maybe he's in a gang or whatever. Talk to more black people. We're not all in gangs, right? Even things like military. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to because I was in the military who were like, oh, how many people have you killed? Good Lord. You know what? A lot of people in the military just press buttons and turn the radio on, right? And so I think it is just that talking to more people in those areas is the thing that makes us all better. But if you don't, sure, you're afraid. I know people who are literally afraid of old people. They just can't. It's true. They're like, oh God, they're going to be so needy. They got problems. They're like, what? Where's your grandparents? Like, my grandparents died. I was like, oh, you need to go talk to older people and see that they're just people. Yeah. But it's all that. It's not people who are like, oh, I hang out with elderly people all the time, and they're so no. Anyone who's with these groups gets to see what they're really like. And so I think that's really the answer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, June.
Okay.
How is this? Give us the sting. Some stories.
Oh, I can't compete with the.
No, you're not competing.
Clan.
You ever had any clan stories?
The clan on the lawn. I can't.
Okay,
I lived in the Bronx. I grew up in the Bronx, so it was burning, but it wasn't on the lawn. It wasn't burning.
Yeah, I had some grass, and everyone's like, "I told you he was privileged."
Yeah,
I had
we
a
didn't
yard.
have that. So I'm gonna do two short things. When I was a kid. Even though I'm from the Bronx, but my mother was from Texas, so she wanted me to have my high school years in Texas. But she, so we moved to Texas for a while, and I was in a choir, the only black person in this choir.
Is it the handbell choir?
Some of the people from the handbell choir were in this choir as well.
Nice.
We ended up singing at the Dallas Ranch. When I say Dallas, I mean the TV show Dallas. We sang for some program at that place. So there was of course we wanted to go and see the house where they shoot Dallas.
Yeah.
And we're kids. And so we go up, and then one of the white kids, boy, that has to be clear, one white boy said, "Let's knock it." I'd never heard that word come from, I'm about to tell you what it means. I'd never heard that term, and B, I definitely never heard a white person say. Remember, I'm from the Bronx. I grew up around black people. So when I moved to this small town in Texas, where it was like 3,000 people in the whole town, and maybe 30 black families, maybe, in the whole town.
Wow.
So they'd never been around a black person either.
Right.
When he said knock it, and then all of a sudden everybody got quiet, his face got red, and he literally ran away. Then everyone turns and looks at me. Am I the in this scenario? Why are y'all looking at me? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm a kid. So, let me tell you what knocker means. It comes from slavery, of course. You knock on the door, and then you run around to the side to see if the person who opens is friend or foe. And that person will say friend or foe, and will say friend, and then you can come back around, and that person's going to put you in a safe house. That's where the term comes from. You knock on the door, and then you run around to the side.
So that way you don't just get shot.
Right.
If it's foe.
In the face. If it's foe, and the person says, "Who is that?" Whatever. Then you better stay quiet until they close the door, and then you have to go to the next house.
Oh.
That's what knocking means. I had to do the research on this because I'd never heard the term, but I was a kid, never heard a white person say that word. And now everyone's looking at me, and I'm just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gutted. That's one story. Next story, older, maybe like in my 30s even, I did some sort of independent film thing, and the girl who was the PA had to drive me from one location to the next. This is in Florida now. Texas, Florida. This was in Florida. I had, underneath all this, I had very short hair. So I had a baseball cap on, and I was just getting ready, just like whatever, going to the next thing. My hair was shaved all around. Baseball cap shaved. So a cop pulls her over, this PA girl. She was young. She was like, "You beautiful young ladies here." And she was like, "What did I do? I don't know why I'm getting pulled over." I said, "Just be calm." Because I've been there before. I've been pulled over before.
Right.
Many times. But I'm in the passenger seat. She's driving. He comes over. The other cop comes over with his hand on his thing because I look like a black boy in the passenger seat with this white girl.
Right.
Because I had a baseball cap and my head is shaved.
Right.
As soon as the guy who had his hand on the holster, I look up at him, because I'm a beautiful face, of course. So I look up at him, and he realizes I'm a girl. He's like, "Oh no, they're okay." And he let us go. Oh yeah. They stopped us for no reason other than it looked like this young white girl had a black boy in the passenger seat with a baseball cap. Yeah, they let us go.
And when was this?
This is not even that long ago. This is like, I want to say maybe 2010, maybe 20, between 28, something like that.
Which could be like
2008.
What?
Yeah, no, 2008. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, 2008, 2009.
Wow.
They just let us go.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff.
But good for the white woman to experience that.
Yeah, because
That's
he
right.
was like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. I've never been stopped in my
Because
life.
you might have told her that story, and she
Right.
go, well, maybe that's not why.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But she was
Right.
there. It's a whole,
And
you
she
know.
herself, she even admitted, I've never been stopped in my life. Of course you haven't.
No.
No.
Why would you be?
Yep.
The whole stopping
Yeah.
thing is interesting because there is a story of, and go find it. There was a black cop. I just can't remember where, who never told anyone this up front, but at some point he was like, "Yeah, I was turning the tables. I never stopped a black person. I only stopped white people, and sometimes I did searches." And he's like, "And I have the exact same percentage of white people driving without a license, people that are under the influence of alcohol or drugs, people who have drugs in their car. It's not that black people have more drugs in their car. It's just that they get stopped inordinately. In my career, I only stopped." Now, he's not right. I'm not saying that he did the right thing, right? Also, still profiling.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is that because this thing got done, he could say, like, yeah, you know, all the things that I'd always learned, like, oh, black people are more likely to have a gun in the car. It turns out he stopped a ton of people who have just white people with guns in the car, right?
Yeah.
Unregistered weapons, right? And so I think there's all these fear things that get put out there that are told that are just not true, or they just apply to everyone and they're only given to this one group of people. So this cop, possibly, I don't know them, possibly not racist, possibly not like, oh, there's a black guy, let's mess him up, but probably like, we gotta make sure things are okay over there. Let's make sure things, because he really felt that fear, because he believed all the things. Saw it was you, like, oh, that's not what's happening here, and went on, right?
Yeah.
Possibly just not some guy was like, oh, we get to beat the shit out of a black kid today. I'm assuming that's not the case for most people, but I also assume there is still that fear, which is why people say, if you're not doing anything wrong, what do you care? Fear doesn't care if you're doing anything wrong, right? So if a cop pulls me, I'm a 6'2" black guy, and so if they see me and are already feeling some fear because I'm black, I have cough wrong, and things can break bad. Right?
Or if they say step out of the car and they see your full
And you
frame,
just keep rising
that's
up.
scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Now everyone's like not just hand on, but weapons cocked, right? And so I it's a real thing that I got to worry about, not because I'm doing anything wrong, not because I have anything that, like, I got no weapons in the car, no drugs. But you don't know that, and you have those fears yourself, and now anything that I wink weird, right? And so it's all about getting rid of those fears, and you only can do that when you talk to these groups of people and see what they're really like, and know that there's some bad eggs everywhere, right? You talk to one black guy, and that black guy happens to be a prisoner that had done, 8 horrible things. You can't now say, oh, I tried, and then that's your whole exam, right? Like, you got to talk to more people, and same thing with black people. You got to talk to all white people aren't running around fearful and hating black people, worried about all that stuff. Talk to more people. I feel like the more people you can talk to, the better that you're going to be.
And I even think that little child who said that thing, he had never said it around a black person before.
He hadn't.
Yeah.
So when
But he said it though so comfortably, so he's definitely said it.
But he realized it, he got all red and ran away.
Right.
I bet he may not say it again.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So again, we just have to
Yeah.
be together and figure this all out
But
together.
if you've never been there, you'd still be saying it today,
He would be.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And worse.
Save that child.
Yeah.
that's right.
Hopefully.
That's right. All right. Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to that, guys. This is my take on the N-word.